dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll those dice.
Hey, Rob, we're back.
We're back, everybody. We're finally back. Don't look at the publication date of this episode and ask what we have been doing for the past 3 weeks. It's none of your business. But yeah, we are back.
We're back, and we're so excited to finally have been to
GenCon!
We are full of enthusiasm. Hey, we had a great time, didn't we, Rob?
We did have a great time. Actually, we had a really good time. Thank you, listeners, for making it possible, to be quite honest. Matt and I, listen, we have far-flung families, and frankly, most of my travel is to visit my relatives around the country.
I only travel to hunt exotic game.
But this time, Matt, we hunted the most dangerous game.
Board games, card games, role-playing games.
Yes, role-play, which is at GenCon, which was fun.
GenCon is really a place that if you want to see all the games, every game that has ever existed, you can go to GenCon.
If you ever wanted to walk out onto a football field and see wall to wall, as far as the eye can see, Magic the Gathering tables, GenCon is the place for you.
Yeah, that was truly a sight to behold. It's like, look what we have created, humanity. The Magic people were having way more fun than me.
Yeah,
so
no,
I got insanely jealous.
We were making jokes, but I would say the people who had the most fun were probably people who were there for Magic the Gathering, or Lorcana, or the League of Legends TCG, which I can't remember the name of. There are a lot more trading card games, collectible card games than I knew, Matt. You and I, we grew up.
I didn't even know Lorcana existed, Rob. So that's how dumb I am.
I think we grew up at like the initial burst of TCGs because when we were teens, Magic was new, but there was the Star Wars trading card game, there was Lord of the Rings trading card game, which we all played. There were a bunch of like little games. Then a lot of them kind of faded, leaving just the Magic the Gathering behemoth. But now there's big players getting back in. Obviously there's still Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but now Disney has one and Riot has one, and they're just there's a One Piece trading card game. Anyway, a beautiful time to be into TCGs, which I am sort of, but not really.
Yeah, no.
Looked like fun.
There's nothing like people being insanely crazy and excited about something to show you that you're really not that into it. And that's how I feel about seeing all of the TCGs at GenCon. I mean, we were mainly there for the role-playing games, moving GenCon away from its wargaming roots. But I guess I will say it's really experience. You got to put the work in if you want to go to GenCon. You've got to walk a lot of places. You got to like book a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I guess there's only a couple other places, a couple other conventions that are near this big where you can be around a bunch of people and everyone knows what the Traveler role-playing game is, or Dungeons and Dragons. And that's kind of like, that's a really fun feeling.
That's kind of cool.
People, almost everyone I met was incredibly nice, so that was fun.
Well, and that's why we wanted to go, right? Like, there's GenCon, there's PAX Unplugged, there's like some smaller regional ones, but like if you want to go somewhere and be around people who play tabletop role-playing games, exclusively, or who know what they are, who are interested in them, it's, there's not a ton of options. And it was cool to be around people who knew what I was talking about and were interested in nerdy things, and everybody was there to like play one thing or another. One of the people that I met was doing like a Catan tournament the entire weekend. Like somebody else was there to like open a brand, like be the first person to open this set of cards from, I think it was Lorcana. Like everybody was there, but they all knew what I was doing. I was like, I have a podcast about this, and I didn't have to explain. I didn't have to explain what my podcast was about very often. Not never,
no.
But I did have to explain a lot less often than in my like regular day life, and that was really cool, Matt.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that as well. I enjoyed when people ask me what I do for fun or mention podcasts, and then someone says, "Matt, you have a podcast, don't you?" People were very excited about it, and they
were.
knew exactly what it was about. So that was
In fact, we met
fun.
many people who will be guests on upcoming episodes. So stay tuned. But yeah, it was nice it was very cool to be around other people who were into this stuff. Not that I have a shortage of them in Portland. It's just everybody there was into TTRPGs or board games or nerd stuff. Yeah.
Everyone there was into the things we were into, and that was a really good feeling. We met people we've had on the show in the past and people who we're definitely going to have on the show in the future, and that was a cool feeling. It's nice to see people in person. Yes, some of us will get sick. Some of them will die. Yeah. sorry, Rob. Rob got deathly sick.
I did get very
sort
sick.
of sick. Yeah.
No, I got very sick. It's true. I got very sick.
Okay. Yeah.
We can be honest. I got very sick. But that's okay. That's the price you pay. You go to a convention, that's what happens.
So, yes, Super Spreader event, GenCon 2025 was really a lot of fun. What do we want to talk about? What it's like there, some of the stuff we played.
I mean, so part of the fun for me, we did a lot of different things. We went to some seminars, right? Like Matt said, we signed up for a bunch of stuff. We both signed up for some things together and some things separately. We're doing a little bit of recon. We played some games, which was a lot of fun. I think that if we go again, I think I'd like to play more. We tried to play some other games, and that wasn't a success. We listened to some people talk. Let's talk about. I mean, we also I saw so many cool things. But yeah, let's talk about. Maybe let's talk about the games that we played.
Sure. Let's start with the games. I think
Okay.
that's what this podcast is about.
I agree.
The games. The first one I saw, as in didn't play, but was able to flip through the completed manual and then go back home and see that I have the exact same PDF that they were showing me in my inbox was Draw Steel. I was very excited with the layout.
Oh yeah, Draw
It needs
Steel
to
was
be
released
play tested
the
but
Saturday
it was,
of GenCon. So we will actually review that soon, but we haven't had time.
Yeah. It was really cool, and people I was talking with also seemed excited about it. So that's what number one from me, or not number one, but the first one.
I saw some Cyberpunk has released a couple of. They're not new books, but supplements and nifty updates to thing. They had a cool guy set up at a booth in the main area who was wearing the V jacket from the game Cyberpunk 2077, and he had he had the Cyberpunk haircut. I gotta say, this is not a knock on anybody in particular, certainly not him, but nobody really looks that cool in real life with that kind of look. It doesn't translate well. Maybe it was the lighting. Maybe it was too bright. Maybe if you're standing in a rainy alley and you're wearing your cool
right, or there's neon above you, or something like that.
But it's not a look that really translates well to a fluorescent drenched trade room floor. But yeah, I saw some cool Cyberpunk stuff there. That was literally the first thing I saw walking in was the Cyberpunk booth, which was right next to the Daggerheart booth, it was the Darrington Press booth, and yeah, that was really cool to see. A bunch of people were picking up Cyberpunk stuff. I was like, that's cool. That's awesome.
Cyberpunk looked cool. The next game that I was had super fun reading, which maybe this is a bad one to mention because I guess it's been out for a long time, but I've never seen a hardcover of it, so I've never picked it up. But some folks at Monty Cook Games, their demo people, took me through Old Gods of Appalachia, and then they let me have the book and just read the entire chapter on West Virginia, and that was very exciting for me.
That has been on the list for us to review for a long time. It was really cool. Like Matt, I saw it in person. I was like, this looks sick. Yeah, Monty Cook was there. The all your favorite indies were there. Not Monty Cook himself, but his company was there. And it was really cool to see a lot of those books in person. The Free League people had like a really cool room set up. This is one of the places that we like tried to go play a game and it did not work. They had the new edition of Coriolis. They had Vaesen. They had all of the classics. They had a bunch of cool stuff, and it was bumping the entire time. They had multiple conference rooms just for doing Free League stuff, and it looked like fun. We flipped through a bunch of their books there. It was really neat to see them all in one place. Even my friendly local gaming store does not have like that much Free League stuff. So
I read their Minds of Moria book.
yeah, that's right.
And
they had new lore. Sorry, they're expanding the canon.
Yeah.
I'm now
exciting.
like well past the phase in my life where I give a shit about this, but like there was a time when like this would have been a mind-blowing development. That like somebody was writing like new Tolkien lore, new Lord of the Rings like information about like, because like I've read Matt, I'm sorry, we talked this before. I've read all the appendices. I've read the Unfinished Tales. I've read the Silmarillion multiple times. I know every fucking mind that every dwarf has ever mined. I know the names of 1,000 different elves. And now there's more, which is
I have to say, so you have to want to really play a Lord of the Rings game. But if you did want to really play a Lord of the Rings game, man, they added, I was like, this is an amazing like mega dungeon source book that fits the setting really well without just turning it into like a D&D.
I wish I still wanted to. I don't really want to play a Lord of the Rings game, but it's if you did, I think now might be the best time in history to want to do that.
The next highlight with me is I have my new, I've played it, only once since, but like my new favorite cooperative board game. So the number one game of GenCon that's not a TTRPG for me is The Gang.
The Gang. That was a big one that was new at GenCon. It was really cool.
Yeah, and it has a subtitle, but I'm forgetting it. It's but it's essentially, it's just playing Texas Hold'em cooperatively with like a fun mechanic. And so if you don't know how to play Texas Hold'em, you actually can get slightly better at it. Or at least like understand the rules more completely, or not the rules. The rules are simple. The like betting, like what is good and what other people are doing. So the fun part of the game to me mechanically was you're actually breaking down in the open what is happening when good poker players like raise and fold and check and stuff like that, because it's super simple game. You play Texas Hold'em, and every betting round you have to work together without revealing your information to rank your hands and get them right by the end, which of course is tough because new information keeps coming up as you flop more cards. And then it's built around like an aesthetic of like, hey, this is like an Ocean's 11 heist game, and you're at the poker table and you all got to work together to do the heist. I was like, this is perfect. It took 5 minutes to learn and 20 minutes to play.
It's a very fun party game. Yeah.
Let's see. What other games did you like? I have like 4 more that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't like all of them, so I didn't want to know it's okay to not to talk about games that were not for us. They're for other people.
Yeah, I tried a few other things. There were a bunch of games that I wanted to try that either I didn't have. Listeners, I don't have a lot of patience. I don't like to stand in lines. I don't mind planning ahead and signing up for something, but I don't want to get there and stand in a line. So there were a lot of games that I wanted to try. Stonemaier Games, they had a new game called Vantage, which looks really cool. I'm really excited to play it. I have not had a chance to yet, but it was fun to watch people playing it. Gosh, this is not important to anybody, but like I used to love this game. I didn't realize like how much there was for it, but Shadows of Brimstone has like 1 million expansions that I didn't even know about because like I said, I haven't been paying attention. So I was just like wandering around their enormous booth being like, what? Yeah. So, but there are a lot of things I was interested in but didn't have a chance to try.
The Shadows over Brimstone people were the what's that? Frosthaven. They were Gloomhaven. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
Gloomhaven before Gloomhaven.
They were at the
peaked too
forefront.
early. It's a cool, and then they of course deviated from not just being a fantasy game.
Yeah.
Another game I played, I didn't. No, scratch that. Another game that I read and took notes on, but didn't play is the Cosmere TTRPG.
That's right. We did
The
sort of
dice
want to try
system-
to play that, and that was also like booked up through the entire weekend. Looked
Yeah.
interesting though.
So I went to the booth and talked to a guy, and he explained the mechanics to me, and then let me read through the book for half an hour. Mechanics are fine. I don't think they're anything that's gonna like bring me in. I will like one day review the whole thing on this podcast. It was so massive. There were two like 400 or 500 page books. I was like, oh my God, this is for people who really love this novel series, and I have never read it, so it's probably not for me, but it is for the people who love this particular series.
As we have discussed, I have read it. I looked at it. It was fine. We will review it. We will have to. It raised $1 bajillion on Kickstarter. It has the full might of the Brando Sando empire behind it. It is a big fucking deal. But yeah, I wasn't super impressed with what I saw at GenCon. Maybe it'd be more fun to play, but the book did not excite me.
And then we have to talk about something we tried the demo together, like a 30-minute demo, which was Marvel's multiverse role-playing game.
That's right.
Which had like an entire room and like things you could take your picture with Iron Man and Spider-Man and all those Mr. Spider-Man and Mr. Iron Man. And while I liked how the dice system worked, it was super simple. You rolled like 3d6. One's kind of a wild die that has special meaning. Yep. It doesn't need to be a special die. And then built around that very simple dice system was something that like would make second edition Champions weep with its complexity.
It was trying really hard to be simple. Like structurally it was simple. It was like, here's your 5 stats, and next to them in the book were like, here's like what a roll would look like. But then like they had like different rules for if you were like not doing a combat thing, and like there were like a bunch of like secondary and derived stats, and I'm like, I can see how they were trying to like simplify, and they just failed.
They gave us the character sheet for Spider-Man, and Mr. Spider-Man had like 500 different numbers written on his
there were
character
2 pages
sheet.
of like not even text, just like numbers. 2 pages just like, here are the Spider-Man numbers. I got to roll some dice. I got to defeat a Hydra agent or something.
Yeah. It made me think, like, who is this game for? Because, like, the tone of the rule book and stuff felt very much like this is for getting young Marvel fans into role-playing games. And then the rule system was like, oh, boy, good luck playing this.
There were a lot of people there playing it. Will they ever play it again? Yeah. I don't know.
Again, just another game that was not for us.
That is one, that has a lot of money behind it, and it's a big deal. I would like to maybe review it at some point, but I will tell you, listeners, now, based on our 15 minutes of hands-on play, that it did not thrill me.
There was no reason for me to ever come back to this one. However, one I will be coming back to. This is a little inside review because we've had the author on the show, was the Cunning Folk.
That's right. Which
is a rules light game about Fae making someone's life miserable.
Yeah. Matt and I played this together. You can go back and listen to our episode with Patrick and Emily of Unbalanced Encounters. I think Emily mentions that she's working on this. It's now out. It is a very short book. The rules are very simple. The theme is incredibly fun. I think we had a really good group for this, but Matt and I had an absolute blast doing like a quick, 2-hour, not even scenario where we tormented some coal executive until his demise. It was very easy to play. If you ever wanted to play like a little if you ever want to do like The Witch or Midsommar the game,
But be the weird goat.
But be Black Phillip. Like that's this game. It was a delight. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was a great game in that it's like, oh, here's like simple rules that you can explain and pick up in 5 minutes, but the simple mechanics are interesting and they add exactly to like the feel you're trying to do. And it reminded me that I love playing TTRPGs with people that I know and get along with, and I also love playing TTRPGs with people I don't know who are strangers. I had a blast on our many games we signed up for.
Yeah. Matt and I played that one and another. Was that it together? And that was surprisingly fun. Matt and I played in a grinder.
Yes, we did. We only played 2 games together, but that's okay.
That's okay.
We did plenty of our own games.
We did.
For our own people.
But the grinder was surprisingly.
Rob and I got on Grinder together.
Together. Was surprisingly a ton of fun. It was we had an old school GM and an old school module. It was AD&D. It was as advertised. You get a character. You first one's free, and then after like your second death or something, you have to hand in like your spare tickets or whatever. It's not it's not like for charity. But yeah, we got led through a classic D&D dungeon. I died immediately, which was very exciting, which is what I wanted.
I know you wanted that, but you were not like trying to die first.
What's really funny is I just got astonishingly unlucky. I actually wasn't doing anything that time stupid. I literally all I did was like open the door and roll astonishingly badly.
Yeah.
That was a ton of fun. That was cool. We had it was a big table with like a bunch of people of both like varying experience and interest. I gotta say, I don't envy our GM's job very much because it was loud in that room. There were a lot of people, again, who were like not entirely invested, but he did a really great job of like keeping us going and like ushering us through that, again, grinder murder adventure.
Here's another tip for GenCon and basically every other con I've been to, is that unless you like know someone on the inside or are a celebrity, your role-playing game will be put at a round, foldable table with a tablecloth on it in a room filled with similar games, and it will be very, very loud.
Yep.
So pro tip for going to cons: be a celebrity or just know the people, so you get one of the like small rooms where it's just your table.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk. So I got to play a very long game of Traveler. The most recent edition of Traveler. And gosh, I played Traveler for like 2 hours before, so this was really kind of like my first time playing Traveler, and I had a ton of fun. And I don't know why I didn't realize this the first time I played Traveler, but I realized I was like, oh god, it's like a lot of the DNA, not just Traveler's an OSR space exploration game, sci-fi game, but like a lot of the DNA for, I don't know, the like Forge school of like making things with like degrees of success and just this nice bell curve roll that's super simple, is like it's always been, or it's almost always been there in Traveler from like 1977 on.
Yeah, we have somehow not talked about Traveler, so like maybe we should soon. I've always liked the rules. I'm sorry that I was not able to play in this game with you, but
no, that's okay.
I'm glad that you did, and we'll talk about it soon. But I'm glad that, I'm especially glad that your experience with it reflects what I've always liked the rules. They always seem cool to me, and I'm glad to hear that they're as fun to play as they look like.
I immediately went and bought a copy of Traveler as soon as I was done playing, because I'm like, why do I not own this? And then it reminded me, like as I was walking over to buy it, we did a lot of walking. You were telling me just like a couple weeks ago that like in your Mothership game, you're like, oh man, the system's really creaky on the edges because I don't have like it doesn't have the resources to keep up with like long-term play and tracking the player's ship and stuff like that. And I was just flipping through the book and I was like, this is what Rob was looking for. It's right here.
I've actually been thinking about pulling from Traveler because I'm like, oh, you know what has these rules? Traveler has these rules for sure. And if there's one thing that Mothership and Traveler have, it's definitely like vibes. They definitely share some similar feel. So yeah, you're absolutely correct. I'm gonna borrow from Traveler.
The Dungeon Master of None podcast recommends the game Traveler as its game of the week, a game that's been out for nearly 50 years and that we haven't talked about on this show yet.
When did they release the most? Hang on.
2022 or 2024. Yeah, it's the guy who wrote it like gave it to like another company. He's like,
that's right.
You do it, but it's basically like the same. According to the guy I talked to. He's like, any old module you can use with the new rules with minor adjustments.
The core rule book it was updated in 2022. It's a PDF and a hardcover option. You'd love to see that. Yeah. We'll talk about Traveler soon. It's been on the list forever. Love Traveler. Okay.
We played a lot of games. Are there any other games you want to highlight? Did you have fun playing Starfinder?
So Matt was doing something, and I went to go play a Starfinder Society game using the Starfinder 2nd Edition rules, which are pretty new. I haven't had a chance.
I was flipping through them at their booth.
I haven't had a chance to read them. They are very much like the Pathfinder 2E rules, which we have read and reviewed, and which I am a big fan of, even though they have their limitations. Starfinder 2nd Edition is much the same as Starfinder 1st Edition, basically just the same version of Pathfinder with some spacey gloss and a handful of like extra rules. But if you understand Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you can play Starfinder 2nd Edition. And I really like that system. I really like the actions. I really like the simplicity of the success fail, right? Like it's you're aiming for a target number, but like there's degrees of success, 5, 10, whatever. And I love it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
I played a very short Starfinder scenario with some randos. They were all big old hyper nerds, half of whom had brought their own Starfinder Society characters with them. I had not. I used one of the.
That's the point of the society.
I know. I really should have a Starfinder Society. Actually, at the beginning, the guy was like, "Do you have a Pathfinder Society number?" And I was like, "I don't think I do." And then I was like, "Wait a minute. I've been a member of the Paizo forums for like 15 years. I bet I do." And I do have a Pathfinder Society number, which I've even used once before, and I forgot.
Yeah.
That character wasn't relevant, but that was a ton of fun. It was really cool to like play with some other people. Everybody knew the system way more than me, which is actually kind of like a fun experience for me. That's not, not like
someone helps you out with the rules as opposed to
somebody knows the rules. I got a compliment from the GM. I did a clever thing with my character abilities. I got almost murdered. Once again, I almost died. I did not die this time, but I was like dying 3 at the end, but we limped over the finish line. It was the scenario was the Great Absalom Race. It was like, the Amazing Race, but like on Absalom Station, and you were competing against a bunch of other, teams funded by interstellar corporations. It was short. It was fun. The GM was really good. He had a great like announcer voice. He kept us moving. It was like a 2.5 hour session. I love, for all of its flaws, for all the flaws of like organized play, I love it most of the time. I do think it's fun. I just, I have limited time to game. And so if I'm going to have a free night, I'm going to try to like run a game of my own or have somebody do a home game rather than do Pathfinder or Starfinder Society. But I love that it exists. And this was an enormous ballroom that was full of people playing Starfinder or Pathfinder Society. It was really cool to see. Cool. It was a lot of fun.
So we've only shared anecdotal experiences, but we know that true journalism comes from data, Rob.
That's right.
So, I quickly ran the numbers of all of the role-playing game systems that were on display that ran at GenCon, and there was, over 6,000 of them. And I'll give you, let's see how close you can get without going over. What percentage of the games were Dungeons and Dragons? All systems.
75%.
Ooh, Rob, you are going to be pleasantly surprised. 20.3%
Really?
of the games
I remember looking at the list, and I was like, this is at least half, but I wasn't doing a good job counting. Okay, 1/5. That's great.
Yeah. Unless, like, my numbers got messed up because there's a role-playing game system called 1887. Nope. Okay, didn't count it. Okay, great.
All right, I trust that your numbers are correct. Okay, so only 20%.
20, yeah, which is great because, there were a lot of people playing a lot of different systems. And it means that, that we can now declare, after having been to Gen Con, that the state of the hobby it's fine.
Seems like it's good. There's a lot. There's the largest, I think it was the largest Gen Con ever, 70 or 80,000 people. The tariffs, I heard a lot of tariff talk, but it didn't seem to, no one seemed to be, failing because of them. Mostly it was concerned conversation. So for now, the state of the hobby is good. A plus. Yeah. There's a lot. It was really cool. I wrote this down, but I haven't had a chance to review it. But I took notes of 2 or 3 or 4 RPGs that I was just walking by that I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of the author. I'd never heard of the publisher. And I was like, this looks cool. I want to look into this later. That was just on a random table somewhere, in the back of the trade show room. That's not counting all the ones that Matt and I have already discussed that, had pride of place. There's a ton of interesting stuff happening in the TTRPG space. There's so many cool people doing interesting things. It was awesome to see.
It was really great. We did a bunch of other fun things. I played a lot of BattleTech, and I discovered something about myself, Rob, which is, I'll just say, I was reminded that I love playing TTRPGs with people I don't know, even if I'm not the GM. I do not like playing miniatures games, war games with people I don't know. Not because I'm a sore loser. I don't care about that. I just need everyone to be on the same level of chill.
Yeah.
When it comes to miniatures games, about not caring and having fun, and that can be tough for some people. So
yeah,
I played a lot of BattleTech, and I regret signing up for BattleTech. I should have only signed up for my first love, role-playing games.
I didn't play anything truly competitive, and I'm glad that I didn't, because there were a lot of people there who were there to compete. And I do like to play games. Yeah. I like to win as much as anybody else. But I'm, whether it's Magic the Gathering or BattleTech or anything else, or Root, one of my great loves, I'm just here I'm just in it for the love of the game, and a lot of people are there to fucking win. And that is a problem when playing with strangers, that there are some people who are there to win. That's annoying to me.
Yeah. We also, we didn't just go there to have fun. We also went there to get educated, to educate ourselves. We went to learn.
To learn from the best. We learned from the very finest minds in tabletop role-playing games, starting with none other than the Dungeon Coach of DC 20 fame. On the very first day, we attended the Dungeon Coach's talk, Designing the Future of TTRPGs. There we go.
Yeah, what did we learn about the future of TTRPGs?
Well, unfortunately, Matt, we did not learn a lot from that talk. And I feel... Okay, we've talked about DC 20 before, right? If you listen to our episode on D&D Heartbreakers, on D&D Clones, we talked at length about DC 20, right? This is the system that raised the most, $2.2 or something million.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the one we liked the least. I would have liked to hate the guy. I would love to come on here and just shit talk him. But he seemed perfectly nice. The problem
course,
is
yeah.
he doesn't seem to know a fucking thing about anything. It doesn't. I learned absolutely nothing of use from him. I'm still kind of like boggled that he is in the position that he is in. He ran a game for Brennan Lee Mulligan at some point in that weekend, like a DC 20 game. Like he's now like a big shot in the industry. And you know, I can't say this like definitively, but like he's got to be one of the people who I think knows the least about tabletop games, tabletop design, just role-playing games in general. It's just kind of shocking. Yeah, it's just wild.
Well, I wasn't going to get this specific with our criticisms, but I guess since you started it,
I mean, we're gonna not talk about like what I mean. He
No,
It was a
absolutely
public talk, Matt.
about
He
Yeah,
stood
no, it
up
was
there.
fine.
There were 40 people in that room.
I feel bad. I feel bad talking about it because it was.
But he seems like a nice guy. It's not his fault. It's not his
I
fault.
think
He raised
someone-
$2 million. I
Yeah,
mean, it is his
no,
fault.
This is
but
the
like, it's
curse of Kickstarter. Is this? I think someone talked to him about or asked a question like, "How do you keep your designs from getting more complicated?" And he gave a sort of a wrapping, just kind of answer, free flow, and by the end he had talked himself into just making something more complicated.
Yeah.
The thing he started off that needed to be simpler was an example. He was like, actually, maybe this should be more complicated. After agreeing with the person, like, oh yeah, you don't want to make things too complicated. Speaking of like mechanics and systems,
Yeah.
it was a real mind blower.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want to be mean. I guess like the point I'd like to make here is like I don't think this is like a malicious person. Like this is not a grifter. This is not an evil man. This is just a guy who became successful, too quickly by accident. And you could be, and I think that there are probably a lot of people who work really hard, who are really smart, who design TTRPGs, who have every right to be mad about this guy. But ultimately, like, he's just a dude. And yeah,
He's
another
just a coach.
undeserving white man. But like, I don't know. I only have so much ire to go around. And
Right, we could be the undeserving.
That's right. You could be mad at us for the same reason.
It was a strange. I think we quickly learned that maybe we weren't going to get the craziest like dungeon master advice at that panel to pass along to you. And
Sorry.
that was okay. There was no. You can't talk about the future of TTRPGs when you've only played. It was clear he had only played 2 or 3 TTRPGs.
Sorry, this was his
Which,
admission.
By
Sorry.
the way, you can design a TTRPG if you've only played 2 or 3. Will it be the future?
Probably not.
Probably not. Will you still have fun? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So please do that if that's you, but
I mean,
don't claim you have the future.
This is interesting. Like, you don't have to, I think, you don't have to have read or played every single TTRPG to be a good TTRPG designer. You should have.
You definitely. There's a certain point. There's real diminishing or backwards returns.
But you should know
That's it.
some, or you should be coming to the hobby with like a depth of knowledge in something else. And he wasn't really bringing either. Is all I'm going to say. And this is his own admission. He wasn't like shy about this. He was like, I only ever played 5e. And then somebody asked him about his influences and he was like, oh, I kind of like Pathfinder 2e. And I think that was the only games that he mentioned having any familiarity with. So,
Yeah.
Which
makes sense. DC
make sense.
20 feels like 5e with a little bit of
A little bit of
Pathfinder
Pathfinder.
2e stapled on in a way that doesn't work. What other talks did we went to? We went to
a
couple hours.
the Forgotten Realms.
Future, not of TTRPGs, but the Forgotten Realms. Faerun, the planet
Faerun.
Toril. It was the Wizards of the Coast employees talking about, the new upcoming Forgotten Realms book that'll be released later this year, early next year, something like that.
Yeah.
What do we learn about that?
Well, we learned that, what I learned, Matt, is that like my instincts regarding Wizards of the Coast and their designs on Dungeons and Dragons are as correct as they have ever been. They are tapping a dried well. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel. There is no new blood. There are no new ideas. There's no interest in new ideas. It's a very tired feeling franchise. Like, we didn't actually see anything new except for maybe a little bit of new art.
All the art seemed new
Sorry,
to me.
the art was new, but like, they're just releasing mini campaign settings for places that already exist. Again, if my instincts are correct, this will just be rehashed information from previous editions, like it has been for the past few books. There were
I will say
the panelists
that
were of mixed, I don't know, some of them were fine, some of them were not.
They didn't seem like super thrilled about this product.
They were,
but not. Sorry, I don't want to like throw them under the bus. Not that their bosses are going to be listening to this. The thing that I thought was encouraging.
If you are listening,
about this
Wizards
book,
of the Coast, we will stop talking forever for $1 million each.
I was gonna say $1,000. The thing that I thought was encouraging about the book was at least as they were trying to present it, is it was going to be 5 gazetteers of places. But then they also mentioned there's a bunch of other things. So I was like, how much space do those gazetteers actually get? Are they the kind of in-depth gazetteer that you want to actually run a game in a campaign setting and become inspired? We'll see. It's 5 different places around Faerun. So it's like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, Calimshan, the Dale Land. Like, so each of them have their own section. I was like, maybe it would have been better to just do a Baldur's Gate source book or a Calimshan source book.
We'll look at this when it comes out. It could be cool if it is what they say it is. Like, if you actually have 30 pages of useful information. I mean, we've praised the Daggerheart campaign frames, which are shorter than that, and each by themselves is like a whole setting. I don't think we're going to get something that good from Wizards, but I could be wrong.
Right. The difference is, I think what it appeared and what I guess I'm afraid of is that split the difference between a gazetteer and a campaign frame, right? Because it seemed like from their talk, it is still like a traditional campaign setting where it's like, hey, here are the things that exist. What your campaign is about is somewhat up to you. But we also kind of have these like little like starting hooks and stuff like that. And my opinion is like you should go all in and write your, thing as here's how to run a campaign about this. And here's 7 good pages on this, as opposed to half a page trying to do that and then 20 pages only sort of describing that area. Do you see what I'm saying? Either go full gazetteer or full campaign pitch.
I agree.
With your materials.
I agree. Again, it could be good. Like, if it's even a little bit of new information or presented well, if it's packaged, like, again, 30 pages, like 5 different settings that you could actually use would be cool. That would be unprecedented for Wizards, which is why I would kind of be shocked if they actually do it,
Right. I think because they didn't say that like everything we've written is new, after the 2024 DMG, my hackles are up. I'm going to be going to my old source books and saying, did they just rewrite a couple paragraphs from something published in 1993? If so, that's sad. So, anyway, what I went to a bunch of other.
Two more things about the. No, it's okay. There's 2 more things about that before we go. One, they also announced, and this is both like good and bad, they're releasing 3 digital-only source books, which, again, to me says scraping the bottom of the barrel. One of them is the...
Yeah, I forgot to write these down.
That's right. It's the Forgotten Realms, Adventures in Faerun, and Heroes of Faerun. Sorry, that's the original one. One of them is called Netherill's Fall, which is a adventure in Netheril. I think this is probably going to be rehashed information, or
there's a 2E one about this. Yes,
this is my guess. The one thing, there is one. Again, this is not like my cup of tea, but I was like, this is the first good idea I have seen from Wizards in a while, and it's called Astarian's Book of Hungers. And it's a source book with like vampire options for players themed around Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. Is this a greedy cash-in on Baldur's Gate 3
Sure.
Mania?
Yeah.
Yes. Is this something that represents
people
a
want?
new idea that people want? Yes, it is. Give the people what they want. I think this is neat.
People have wanted to play a vampire in D&D since the first hour I have played D&D, right? Someone has wanted to be a vampire. And there are not player options for that. No one wants to be a Damphir or whatever,
yeah.
or a Revenant. They want to be like a vampire, just like Astarion is. He's just a normal vampire.
Just a vampire. Just be a vampire.
Yeah.
It may be that this comes out and that still isn't an option, but at least the idea here is good. The other thing I want to say is that the moderator made a joke about look, it's him, Jon Peterson, which was the only thing that I laughed. The only thing I laughed at in basically any of the seminars that we went to. Good joke.
It's the funniest joke.
I did like the joke about Jon Peterson. I'm gonna put a human fighter named Jon Peterson in the next D&D game that I play. All right, what else did we see, Matt? Enough about that.
We went to a great panel chaired by Jon Peterson on the history of GenCon. This was actually my top hour of the whole.
This was peak for me too. This was great.
Weekend.
We were in an old train station. We could hear trains going by. We were listening to history. It was the perfect socialist history train session. I could not have been happier.
Yeah. We made some friends with some fellow historically minded things. We learned a lot of some really cool digital humanities projects related to the history of GenCon that we hope to do an episode talking about in more depth
We will.
in the future. So
Jon
stay
Peterson
tuned.
mentioned the editorial from Gary Gygax that we
Right.
that we read on this very show.
Rob and I were just both, whispering over each other, that's the editorial.
That's the one we read that one.
pointing. That's
Because
we were so
the
excited.
subject of the talk was the history of GenCon, basically. So that was really cool. That was honestly a lot of fun. Jon Peterson was a great speaker. It was, some really cool digital humanity stuff. There's a database that both of us are going to be able to tinker around in and come up with some cool stuff from. So that was definitely that was close to the pinnacle of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
Definitely our best, the best thing that we signed up for. I think that was a lot of fun.
If you're curious, the database is called Best 50 Years in Gaming, and it's not a complete, but as complete as possible, database of all of the events in GenCon over time, so you can, track the rise and fall of different types of games, different types of game masters, and gaming's popularity over the years. Because I think, now that I've been there, I can say that GenCon seems like a pretty clear distillation of what is popular in gaming right now.
Love it or hate it, like it or not. It is. Yeah. It is kind of that's where it's happening, right? And it is a very useful barometer for what's going on.
And because we're talking about history stuff, we should cite our sources. This database was by one of the other panelists, Matt Shoemaker, and it's run out of the Temple University's Digital Scholarship Center.
Yeah. We'll link to all this in the show notes.
We also, I don't think you went to this one with me. I went to a great panel about people being genre writers, and
that's
had some
I missed
good
that one.
tips and encouragement to people who want to write and create things. Obviously, I'm not a novelist, but I like to write adventures for my players, and I often feel like some of the same hangups that were plaguing these authors and that they have successfully overcome plague me. One that stuck with me from author Devon Sanders was just always, every day, the first thing I write is I give myself permission to write a shitty first draft. He said he physically writes that in his notepad or on his Word document and then proceeds from there. And I think that's doubly applies to writing out your notes for your campaign.
This is good advice for any writer. Just give yourself permission to the first thing that you write doesn't have to be good. You can write a whole page ball it up and throw it away. I think I read this specific piece of advice from a novelist at one point, but like whatever to get you started, right? Go ahead and your first thing doesn't have to be good. Write a bad first draft.
Any other events or booths or exhibits? I have some tips I learned from GenCon that I'm taking back to my own game. But any other things we want to
everything else that I want to talk about,
share?
well, I'll probably have to devote like a whole episode to or part of one. Like I said, I ran into a bunch of really cool things, cool games, RPGs that I hadn't expected to see, and I need time to like read them and reflect on them. But yeah, nothing. Again, tons of like cool things, but like nothing that we need to talk about on the podcast. There was just like so much going on. It was a very like, I don't know. If you like people watching, it is the place to be. But yeah,
it was, I think, really nice for Rob and I to play in games of people that we don't know, or mostly to be players.
It was a lot of fun
nice
to be a player
reflection.
for a change. Yeah.
I can't remember if this was from a talk or was from one of my games. But one thing I wrote, so this is unsourced tip number 1, but I wrote it down, which was either someone gave this advice or did it in a game of asking a player, how do you fail that check? Or after you failed something you accomplished, how did you fail it? And it really takes the sting out of the dice failing and makes things a lot more interesting. And honestly, for me, coming up with a weird reason why
it
this
didn't work,
succeed, especially when it makes sense for me for it to work, is really nice. And that was a really good tip. So that's my first Gen Con GM tip.
That's really good advice. I like that. Mine's a lot more mundane, but like in playing through these games, I was reminded of something that I like to do, but I've gotten a little sloppy about. But like, they all made really good use of handouts. And I was like, I need to be making more handouts. I need to write things on index cards. I need to print stuff out. I need to, like, this is for me as a player, I was like, oh, this is so key. Oh, thank you so much for like handing me this like piece of paper with like what I need to know on it. I do handouts, but I'm like, I need to do more. I need to do more handouts. I need to be more prepared. It was really useful for me to experience it as a player and like realize how much of a difference it made, like just to have that to look at while I was planning my next move. I was very impressed with like the handout game.
Yeah, when you walk up to a one shot and you don't get a handout with the like, here's what you need to know about the rules system, compared to when you do, it's such a difference. And the thing is, those things are. So I still have those, here's what you need to know, 1-page handouts in my Star Trek campaign, which has been running for many, 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 many
I have
sessions.
them for my Cyberpunk
and my
campaign.
players,
I have a little 1-page for Cyberpunk, which I give to my players.
And then one of my games, I got a great, in-universe handout, and it just makes all the difference. I was like, immediately, my game last week, I was like, I got to make sure there's some kind of in-universe handout. It's just so much fun for the players.
They did that for Starfinder, and I was like, this is sick. I gotta start doing this because it was so much fun. I was like, this is great.
Just as a reminder, like when you're the GM for so long and so frequently, right? Rob and I go to cons, but it's really like a once or maybe if I'm lucky twice a year thing for me. It's just a reminder that like how important the skill of moving certain things quickly is for the dungeon master, right?
Yeah.
If it's been a long time since you've done something as a player, it's just so easy to get bored.
Yeah.
And I forget about that because I'm so infrequently a player.
Yeah. Like I said, I was very lucky. I had very good GMs and they kept things moving pretty well, but like it was a close thing. And I could tell that other people were at points getting bored with like a couple of the games, and it was I wouldn't say it was nobody's fault. It wasn't the GM's fault usually, but like, yeah, it was a good reminder, especially if you're playing with people you don't know, to keep it moving at a brisk pace.
Right. Or like, and it's when there's nothing interesting to listen to,
Yes.
right? Like I love listening to, two people that I know at a table role play with each other.
Right.
Or talk things out, right? And even if you're not the active spotlighted person, that is so much fun,
That's
right?
fun.
Because you're doing engaged listening. It's like being part of a group conversation, right? You're not always the one talking. It's just when those conversations are not happening, when it's other things, there's nothing interesting for you to listen to and be engaged in. Then you can quickly get bored. And yeah, it was a nice reminder. Here's another one, which is if done right, Amnesia can be a great setup for a one shot, especially if the players don't know the system. So like if you want to like start a game where the players don't have their character sheets or something like that, if it, maybe don't do this in your long running campaign, but if you want to do a one shot where there's new rules, especially if those rules are, I guess we would describe them as like simulationist, right?
Yeah.
A simulationist set of rules where, hey, this is an OSR game. Like, describe what your character does, and if we need to roll a check, we'll roll a check, right? And then we'll flip over that rule when that check comes up. It's a great way to take away the learning the rules section of the game.
Yeah. An example of this being really done well is, of course, Disco Elysium, which basically helps you learn the setting and the rules through being an amnesiac. You really don't want to lean on this too heavily. It can be very bad as well, but it is. I have sort of like come around on it being useful in certain situations.
In one shots, especially, it's perfect
if you are
for
starting from
learning
scratch.
the rules for one shots, and we know this is all going to end soon. A sort of negative GM tip is it's always a good reminder to be on the like player's side of things when you experience we're rolling so much that we're just going to fail eventually. You got to avoid have you heard of this sort of, I guess, trope, the avoiding rolling to fail? Just like your GM makes you make so many checks that eventually you're going to fail one, and then whatever you're trying to do doesn't succeed.
Yeah. Oh God. Sorry. This is one realization I had after my Starfinder game, which I really, really liked in general, was that I don't think I like D20 systems anymore. I think fundamentally I just don't enjoy, like, even in Starfinder, Pathfinder, right? Like, it's a lot harder to just fail a like D20 check, right? Because it's not a simple pass fail, quite the same binary, but it's still like, and admittedly the scenario we ran was a lot of skill checks, which are not the system's strong suit, but I was just like, wow, I'm rolling a D20 again and finding out if I got over or under the target number. And I've been playing a bunch of other systems, and I'm like, this would be more fun in just about any other of them, because something will happen, or something, there's consequences, or like you move, you gain a resource, you lose a resource, in Mothership, you're rolling a percentage, but like if you fail, your stress goes up, which means that you have a bigger chance of panicking. Like, failure is moving the game forward, right? Like, it's, I'm not enjoying D20 systems as much as I used to, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's when you come back to something after having experienced something else, it puts it in a new perspective, either good or bad, right? Try a different system, come back to one that you loved or hated, and
you might
see
like
if
it more.
Feels differently, right?
Yeah.
You might be like, gosh, we don't have to look up a table when we fail in a D20 system. I just get to move on. Maybe that's what I want.
Yeah.
No, I like that. That's a great tip for
It's just like a Rob's personal
different.
reflection,
Yeah. No, it's very accurate though.
But yeah, I did like we said, like, part of the fun of this and the opportunity was for us to be players and to play in different games. And I wish I'd done more, but it was already like a really like enlightening and useful experience.
The last and final thing, two of the things I did had this, but shout out to friend of the pod, Patrick, because he was the first one to do it, which was to just end everything with asking everyone what you liked.
Patrick did a really cool end of session thing that I really like that I'm going to steal, which was, what did you like that you did? And what did you like that somebody else did? And it was, this was for like one shot. So it was like a nice like wrap up, but I think it would be a great thing to do every session.
I think the thing about it, and I tried it in my game last week, and we've talked about doing something similar before, which is like, let me know the thing you liked and what could have been different. But just doing this part in person, I think it's great for engendering and building happiness, joy, trust among people, right? If that's something you want to grow in your campaign, doing the kind of what I did that I liked, what someone else did that I liked, is a great way to do that.
We've talked about this for ages, but like something that we like to see in our players and encourage is generosity of play, right? Like giving other people the spotlight, setting them up for cool moments, and a way to, I think, encourage and reward that is this type of like end of session reflection. Like, what did somebody else do that you think is cool? What did you do that was cool? And then like everybody gets a chance to like sort of, it encourages you to pay attention to other people, but also like recognize like what's cool about their character, about their role playing. I thought it was neat.
So speaking of, what was Rob? What was the thing that you liked about GenCon? Since we're wrapping up.
I did, I talked to a lot of different people, and, I am not currently working in a job that thrills or excites me all that much. I mean, I like it, but, it was really fun to talk to people, and everybody I talked to, I was like, what are you working on? And everybody I was talking to was like, I'm running this game. I've got this podcast. I'm making this game. I'm blah, 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 blah. Not all of it was stuff that I cared about or was interested in, but it was really nice to like that the baseline for conversation was like, what are you working on? That was really neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool to be at GenCon, be around people who were creating things. Look, I think that's cool. A lot of their ideas were dumb or not that interesting to me, or like things that I don't care about. But even so, it was cool that they were there and they were making stuff. I thought that was a lot of fun. The trade floor was full of thousands upon thousands of people hawking their little supplement, their little game. I thought that was, I didn't expect to like be so excited by that, but that was really cool for me to be around. I love that a lot.
Yeah, it's super fun to like go and find a small studio publishing some smaller thing nestled between the Mayfair and Games Workshop and stuff like that. And that was, and that mine is very similar. Like my best part about GenCon was the conversations we had along the way, just talking with people who are into TTRPGs at the same level.
Yeah,
that
right.
we are,
Who
which,
could have the conversation with us about all this shit. Yeah.
All of my players love the games that I run, but none of them want to talk about, the games at this level, which is one of the reasons we do this podcast.
Which is
but
why we do
it was
the pod.
nice to do it at GenCon. Listen, I will say, if you're interested in going to GenCon, if you want to go to a con to play games and play them efficiently, like, hey, I want to play a bunch of new role-playing games, and that's what I want to do, go to your local gaming cons, right?
Yeah.
There are many of them all over the United States. In like Texas, there's like 20 of them.
Yeah.
You will get more bang out of your buck. However, if you want to go to a con where you can potentially play every single game in the universe,
any game that has ever been made, GenCon
then go to GenCon.
Yeah. The bad thing about GenCon, I suppose, and there's actually like a lot of bad things about it. Don't worry, you can find. We've been very like effusive in our praise, but like we had a good time. That was just like two guys in our. A lot of people maybe didn't have a good time, but the big problem with it is it's like 8 different conventions slapped together. And
right,
like I said, there was a whole
right. You can like wander into the wrong convention. You're like,
Yeah.
oh wait, this is Magic the Gathering now. I need.
There was a
turn
whole
back.
stadium devoted to Magic the Gathering, and like we spent a lot of time talking to people who were into TTRPGs, and there were a lot of them there, and that was cool. But like, just like the convention that we wanted was probably a fraction of the size and could have fit into like a much smaller city, which is fine. I didn't mind going to like a bigger convention, but like if you just want to play games, like Matt said, go to your local, find a local one, because you'll have a lot easier time. It'll be a lot cheaper, and you won't have to, muscle your way past 1,000, Warhammer devotees to get to your like tiny TTRPG table. But it was cool to have every single RPG, including some that have not been released, like on offer, even if we didn't have time to play all of those.
Yeah, well, I had a blast in Gen Con. I guess I'll see you there next year.
Question mark. Hopefully, we liked
Yeah.
it. We'd like to go again. So watch this space. Well, yeah, but it was definitely like a lot of fun, and it was worth going to.
Listeners, if you've been to Gen Con, present or past, let us know how it went for you.
If you have other conventions that you've liked that you want to recommend, please write us. That doesn't mean that we're ever going to be able to attend. We might, but we also would like to know. Like I'm always curious about like where the fun cons are. This was the obvious one to go to, but like tell us about your experience. Tell us what you like to do and where you like to go to, because this is frankly kind of new to me. Matt goes to a lot more cons than I do. There's a lot more in Texas than there are out here, believe it or not.
Yep.
But let us know what your experience is.
Yeah, maybe I'll see some of you at BrawlCon down in Sugarland.
That's right. All right.
Okay, well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And whatever you do, keep rolling them dice.
You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll